And happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to PSW Podcast, where we come to you guys live every single Friday at 11 a.m., where we talk about the good, the bad, the gray area of the personal support worker field. And we do our absolute best to give you guys information so that everyone understands what's going on in our field. My name is Miranda Romanovic. I'm the CEO of the Ontario PSW Association, host of PSW Podcast, and I am joined again this Friday by Ian De Silva, our Chief Operating Officer, and of course, my co-host here at PSW Podcast. And today we are talking about the mysterious PSW incentive here in the province of Ontario.
Yes, we get lots of questions about this, and I think it just behooves us to just put the information out there, give an overall explanation, and try to just make sure there's some clarity on this so everyone who asks us questions, we can better service. Go take it
Well,
away.
okay. So I'm going to take it away. And I actually printed it off just for everyone who's watching because I don't know this stuff off by heart myself. I mean, as you guys are well aware, there's a lot happening in the PSW field. And for us to be able to put that all in our brain and keep it there is something entirely impossible. So I had to print this off just to make sure that I got this right. So available funding to personal support workers, new, by the way, personal support workers. So up to $5,440 to PSW students as a stipend during their clinical placement in a long-term care home and or home and community care settings. Keep in mind, this is all publicly funded. For eligible PSWs making a 12-month employment commitment to a long-term care home or home and community care organization, again, publicly funded. Recruitment incentive of $10,000 in their first year that they will receive, I think, halfway through, and then the rest of it at the end. Relocation incentive of $10,000 to support relocation costs to a rural, remote, or northern community that is at least 100 kilometers away from their principal residence. And of course, there's a new one now that they have, which is even more confusing. It's a rural, remote, and northern incentive of $10,000 to eligible PSWs recruited to a rural, remote, or northern community. So I want to just lay out the bare facts. Not all employers are a part of this. Right, Ian?
That's correct. Yes,
So
you need to be eligible.
we've had a lot of PSW students that go in and do their clinical and they think they're going to automatically get the $5,440, and that is not the case.
No, not at all. You
No.
need to be a part of the entire program starting from scratch. So you need to have a PSW expression of interest, and your employer need to be also a part of it. Um, so it's not like so. The questions we tend to get is, I'm already halfway through my position in a long-term care facility. I want my $5,000, but that facility is not part of the program, so they're not eligible, and they don't understand why. So we're trying to explain why they're not. So it's behooving it to us, and we're just trying to make sure everyone understands. It is a very specific program, and we don't know all the homes that are specifically a part of this and not. So there is a lot of duty of care does fall upon the individual PSW to make these investigations and to find out where they are.
Exactly.
And it will be
Exactly.
indicated on a lot of the job ads as well. And it's as well. So just be mindful of that.
And the interesting part here is that $10,000 when you graduate as a PSW, let's say you get hired by a long-term care facility or a home and community care agency or organization, that participating employer must offer full-time hours to that personal support worker, which to me is really interesting, Ian, because there is no full-time hours for PSWs. It's a rarity. And now for transparency reasons, I didn't read this before this podcast. So I just read this now, and I didn't know they had to have full-time hours offered to them by their employer, which means they'd have to have a full-time status on their pay,
Yep.
which I don't know many PSWs that actually do have full-time. So that's kind of counterproductive
Right
a
now there
little
is
bit.
the issue. There is an intersecting issue with this though, and that is the inflexibility when it comes to the vulnerable back checks, backlogs rather. So right now in Ontario, a lot of people are struggling to get their vulnerable sector searches. I think it's starting to improve, but the ministry can, for example, long-term care can just accept a criminal reference check, which is better than a vulnerable sector search, but they're not. So there's a huge glut. So this doesn't work. This doesn't help that glut in any way at
Oh,
all.
and full-time hours. I
Oh,
think
it's just like,
I
oh, it's a
think I
lot of
think I've met I know I think I've met probably 10 PSWs in the last 2 years that have gotten a full-time gig in home and community or in long-term care. It's an extremely unusual thing.
Well, I
So
don't think
I
it's
find that
terrible,
very, very interesting.
but it's the right direction though, because at least they're incentivizing full-time employment, which is something,
Yes. No,
which is not
I
bad.
think
It's
that's
just now.
amazing.
So, and that's, yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Oh,
No,
sorry.
it's just
I
it's
think
the
that's
whole
good.
thing is full.
I think we're
I think
lagging.
we have a leg on our internet. Yeah, I think we're like, but that was so fun on a Friday, everybody. You gotta
Yeah.
love it when internet's not doing the right thing. But I think full-time hours is a wonderful incentive. It's an incentive for employers if they want to give that full-time hours to the personal support workers. But I'd
Yeah.
love to hear from PSWs because, and that's where we get a lot of our information from. So when we come here to you guys, we talk about stuff. Yeah, obviously we're printing out stuff from the government because we want to get our facts straight. We want to make sure that we're not saying anything that is incorrect to you guys. However, it's one of those circumstances where then we come to you guys and you guys tell us different.
Yeah. And and we're hearing anecdotal evidence as well. And I think Miranda, oh, you just froze for a second.
No, I think we're good.
We're good. Okay. Then I'm freezing for a second. Sorry.
No, we're good. You seem fine on my end.
Right.
Um,
One other thing is a lot of the elements are for the rural recruitment area. So I think that's one element we got to talk to. So just for clarifying, just to rehash what we've been talking about this morning and forgive the technical gaps. Um,
yes.
this is a very specific program. This is for PSWs that are newly graduated, that are wanting to new graduated and start a new life in basically a rural remote area in most cases. This is really to promote PSWs leaving the GTA and going into the rural remote areas to work. Now, if this is something that you're able to do, in theory, you can do it. But we've encountered other issues that we also get having to deal with at the association when it comes to those who actually are seeking employment in the north and what barriers they have to that.
Barriers, Ian. So what barriers do they have in the north? Pray tell.
Well, I think one of the issues is housing. That's the one I've been able to research right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're not exactly sure how one gets housing. So I was having a look this morning on some of the rental sites. We know that for example, Atikokan, which is a very rural area, just a few hours to the east, to the west, nope, to the east of Winnipeg, just northwest of Kenora, and they're doing an outreach right now looking for rental properties because they have healthcare workers that aren't even a part of this program that need housing. So it requires a lot of planning on the part of the new PSW to find those housing. So that's the money is helpful, but if you're paying 3,000 a month for an apart for a house, you have to be mindful of that. There's a
Absolutely. And it yeah, and it's really difficult to find housing. Number one, we had PSWs go up there and do a northern tour
Yep.
about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. And in that time, when they went to Kirkland Lake or they went to Sault Ste. Marie, or they even went all the way, like they went a lot of places. They couldn't find there was no housing, and that was the biggest conversation with employers was that they have the jobs for the PSWs. There's tons of jobs in the north, but there's nowhere to house them, and nobody was even willing, short of the Catholic Church, nobody was even willing to look at housing for the PSWs. And one of the ideas that the association had come up with at that time was, well, you have like up in Thunder Bay, you have like the minor camps.
yes, exactly.
So why couldn't we do that with healthcare workers?
Temporary housing, modular homes that can house long-term care workers. The answer is it can be done, but I don't think the incentive budget enables them to do that.
Oh, because also too,
The
Ian,
problem.
they
It's
need to
10,000 slot, but it's not
they
enough.
exactly, they need to have a car.
The other side of it too, yeah.
That's the other side. You need to have a car. So not only do you have to be able to find housing that is cheap enough that you can live, but you also have to have a vehicle
And insurance
and
and
insurance
and
and
financial.
yeah,
Yeah, and we in Ontario too, we shoot ourselves in the foot when it comes to being able to be flexible when it comes to housing because all the land is zoned. You can't put like a trailer on the property and let someone live because that's a violation of all sorts of things. So again, we deal with a lot of intersecting issues, and this is a big one. It's this incentive program. We do get lots of questions about it, and it's really hard to explain to them because we have a lot of PSWs who have been in service for many years who are thinking, I'm ready now. I'm at the right age. I'm ready to go into the rural community. I've explored this area in Southern Ontario. I have the capacity. Can I take advantage of this? I graduated in 2017. No,
I can't.
can't. You're not. You can't be included in this. So,
No, and that's another thing too that and I mean kudos
unfortunately,
to the Ministry of Health for doing this. Um, but it's causing
I think Miranda froze or I froze.
for hours. So you're dealing with that. You're dealing with, PSWs who have been gone through COVID that are not getting this incentive. You have PSWs that are, desperate for change in their lives. They're willing, like you said, Ian, to go to the north. They can't get this incentive. The new students can, but then how long is it taking for them to get this money? It's
Well, the first,
taking a long time.
well, they say they get the employer is located if your employer is in a high need area. For example, we'll look at Atikokan. You would get an additional 10,000 incentive to help for relocation costs. And it says the personal support workers receiving both incentives will receive payments of, excuse me, memo, 5,000 at the start date. So if you were to able to, if ever all the stars were to align, I know that sounds mystical, but if they were to align, then yes, you would get 5,000 when you started, 10,000 after the first 6 months to support you in that move, and then another 5,000 after 12 months. So in total, you'd be eligible for $20,000, which is generous and it is good. But we just want to make sure that people are aware that that perfect package it's a struggle to get it,
Yeah.
and yeah, we're not sure how it'll work, but it's a
And it's
struggle.
not a guarantee. It's
It's not a
not a guarantee. And that's another thing really want to put across is, I mean, every time I go live on TikTok or, we post something on Facebook where I'm constantly getting these questions of, tell me about the incentive. I want the incentive. I want the incentive. Well, great. I don't know how to tell you to get the incentive. I just send you to Ontario Health
It's all we can do.
because that's all we can do because we're not a part of this incentive. Now, we were initially back in the day when former Minister of Long-Term Care, Minister Cho, and I announced it and did a whole media scrum and did all that stuff. And that was great. But it has changed since then,
A little bit, yeah.
and very much so. And it's the information is there. So I invite everyone to go and like Google it and actually look at the information. However, it's still confusing. It's and we're hearing from PSWs too. Like I said, when I go on TikTok live and they're like, well, I still don't have my incentive from when I did my clinical, and I've been a PSW now for 8 months. And it takes a long time for them to get it, or they're being told by their employer that the employer doesn't want to do it anymore. That's another one I've heard many times.
Well, the other thing is that if you're a PSW that was trained, for example, in the area, you're not eligible for the $10,000 northern designated payment. You only get the $10,000 supplement payment. Not only, it's still good, but so this is, remember, you have to move from one area to another to get that location for that $10,000 you and your whole household. So
Over 100
kilometers.
kilometers. So you can't just go down the
No, you can't. No, not at all. You have to go further. Yeah. Now we can post some of this stuff on our webpage as well. We'll post the link, of course. Um,
to actually stop PSW podcast before everybody freezes and nothing more is happening. So If you want more info, see Ian's back now. If you want more
You were,
information about the PSW incentive, we're going to drop the link below here on Facebook and, of course, on TikTok. You guys are just going to have to find our Facebook group, which is Ontario PSW Association. So I hope you guys join us over on Facebook. We share a lot of information over there. This incentive is not a bad thing, it's a confusing thing. And if you're one of those PSWs that has received the full-time job offering by a long-term care home, please let us know. I'd love
yeah,
to
this
hear
is
from you.
good.
This
Yes, we
is
want to hear
good.
success stories. We just want to make sure there is that if this is working, we want to hear those as well. And sorry I kept cutting out. I'm having internet issues evidently. So
Evident, though, that's perfectly fine. You know, I can talk forever. So that's not an issue. But I just wanted to say today's a great day. Today is Ian's birthday, actually. So we just want to wish Ian a happy birthday on a Friday. And I hope all PSWs have a wonderful weekend. If you want more information about the